Congressman Veasey, welcome back to the program here. We're seeing more cuts to the federal government like we've been seeing over the last 60 or 70 days. This time, 10,000 employees at Health and Human Services being let go. I'm curious what kind of actual physical impact these DOGE cuts are having on your district in Dallas and Fort Worth when your constituents go to try to interact with the federal government.
Yeah, chaos, corruption, cronyism. Chaos, corruption, cronyism by Doji and Donald Trump. And I'm very worried about the DFW Metroplex because, as you know, in downtown Dallas, near you, we have Earl Cabell, we have Fritz G. Langham in Fort Worth, we have the Bureau of Printing and Engraving, we have FAA regional offices, we have two large regional post offices. All of these places have federal employees, and Dallas Fort Worth, we're number 2 or 3 when it comes to federal jobs outside of the DC, Virginia, Maryland area. And so you may not be a federal employee, but those federal employees that live in the DFW Metroplex, they eat at our local coffee shops. They get their clothes cleaned at local dry cleaners. They shop at the same grocery stores that all of us do. And when you pull that much money out of the local economy, it creates hardships on everyone. It doesn't matter if you're not a federal employee. It's going to be a hardship on each and every one of us. And it didn't have to be this way if Trump would just actually do what he said he was going to do, which is use a scalpel. But he's still using a sledgehammer, and he's doing it because he's trying to distract our attention away from the crazy stuff that's happening, like Signalgate.
Do you know how many actual federal employees have lost their jobs in your district?
I don't know how many have lost their jobs in my district, but I've heard of cuts at the VA outpatient clinic in Fort Worth. Someone called me last week about multiple layoffs at Fritz G. Langham in downtown Fort Worth. I believe that we have a Department of Education, a regional office in the DFW area, and all of those places have experienced layoffs, and it's going to hurt us, just like these Trump tariff taxes are going to hurt us.
When your office gets emails and phone calls from constituents, what are they most talking about right now?
Oh, everybody's just scared. They've never seen this sort of instability. Like, people call me and see me when I'm out and about in the district at the grocery store. They'll ask me, please tell me that this madness is not going to continue for the next 4 years, that there's going to be an end to this. And so people did not think that it could be that much worse than the first time around. And now people see that this guy is absolutely unstable, and is not very non-presidential, and all of our lives and our livelihoods are at stake based on what sort of whim he's feeling at the beginning of the day. It's insane.
Congressman, you're one of the very vocal Democrats, I would say, within your party who's come out, criticizing what's going on in DC. But the party itself hasn't been able to really break out and really create a powerful message against Trump and really maintain the headlines. He's continuing to dominate the headlines here. What do you wish your party was doing right now?
I think that our party is doing a good job. I think that this is what happened in 2018, and I like to remind people of that. We took the majority back, Democrats did, in the House in 2018. And when we took back the House, if you look at those frontline seats that we won to win the majority, not the safe Democratic seats like the one that I'm in, I'm talking about the frontline seats, the ones that help us gain the majority. Those people aren't everyday names on social media. Those people, weren't jumping up and down about things. Like they came across as people that were relatable, and that voters of all backgrounds, whether they were liberal, whether they're conservative or swing voters, could get behind. And that's what helped us win the majority. And as you know, in this town, particularly with Republicans controlling everything, the Senate, the House, and of course the president of any party has the bully pulpit, so much of the attention is going to go towards them. And so obviously that's something that we're always battling. But I think that Democrats' message on the chaos, the corruption, and cronyism that's happening out of this White House, the Trump tariff taxes that's happening out of this White House, the mass chaotic layoffs of veterans that are occurring, not just in DFW, but around the country. I think that those are messages that are going to resonate with all Americans. And look, all the craziness that this guy puts out here, you cannot respond to all of it. Once you start responding to everything that he says or does, then you're losing. He's won. because it feeds into his quote unquote flood the zone media strategy that they
Right.
employ.
Are you satisfied though with what Democrats are doing? I mean, outside the Beltway, it's not as loud. Absent a few people like yourself and maybe Congressman Castro in San Antonio, we just don't hear a lot of Democrats really standing up to what's going on. Are you
A lot
satisfied
of
with the messaging from the
a
party?
lot of Democrats are standing up, and I believe 100% in our leadership. Hakeem Jeffries, one of my classmates, he is an amazing messenger and is doing a great job. We just need for the media to pay more attention to what we're talking about, and I think that we're talking about a lot of really good things that, again, the everyday American public can relate to, and we're standing up to Trump. We are absolutely every day standing up to Trump. But of course, who knows? This morning, what they announced layoffs of 10,000
Yeah.
at HHS. He's going to do something else crazy today, and you're not going to be that interested in what I'm talking about because you're going to go chase whatever next crazy thing that he puts out there, probably any minute now, because that's the way that they operate, and that does make it hard to sort of stand out in this congestion. But we're going to stay on message. We're not going to let anyone take us off message, and we are going to show the American people that there is an alternative to this chaos, cronyism, and corruption from the Trump administration.
And I don't want to suggest that the Democrats aren't standing up. It's just there are some louder voices. I would say you're one of the louder voices that are out there. So don't think that I'm suggesting that you're one of the only ones who are actually doing anything on that.
Yeah, no, I get it.
Let me ask you a couple other Democratic related issues here. Several Democrats in the U.S. Senate have joined Republicans to pass that temporary spending bill that keeps the government funded through September at least. They're getting fried for doing that. Do you think that was the right move to keep the government open? Because they're saying, listen, if we close if the government closed, we Democrats, they say, would be blamed for it.
I don't think that there was an easy answer to any of that. I voted no, and so if I had been over in the Senate, I absolutely would have voted no. I think that what people are disappointed in is that you have to get something. If you're going to help, then you need to get something in return. And that just didn't happen. And so we should have gotten some guarantees, in my opinion, that before moving forward, that they were going to make sure that some of the more crazier things, some of the more chaotic things that Trump were doing, that those things ceased, and we didn't get that. And I think that that's why people were disappointed, and that's completely understandable. I get it. It was a tough situation either way. Had the government closed down, they probably would have had much more authority to be able to lay people off. It would have been a lot easier for them to be more chaotic. But I mean, what we got in return is obviously not that much better. They're still acting fools, and it's bad for the DFW Metroplex, and it's bad for America.
Congressman, you've been in D.C. for a long time. Tell me what it's like when you're walking through the tunnels and in the hallways and you see your Republican colleagues. Are you talking? Are you friendly? What's the atmosphere like?
We talk about everyday things like people do all the time. When I'm talking with the other Republicans that are in the North Texas delegation, we talk about our frustrations with the Dallas Cowboys. We talk about our kids and our families. We talk about things that what people do. What is disappointing to me is the fact that so many of my Republican colleagues, not just here in the North Texas area, but so many of them, people that I know better, have become so servile, so subservient. Trump is the father, and they are the small child type mentality that they have let envelope their caucus. That these people have forgotten about the fact that when our founders wrote the Constitution, they created three co-equal branches of government for a reason. And the fact that even with something like Signalgate, these people will not use their legislative authority and oversight. And when I say these people, I'm talking about the reckless radical Republicans. They won't exercise their legislative oversight that the founders wanted us to do. They're letting this man just run over them, and they're too afraid to say anything. Look at what happened with Zelensky in the White House. Look at these Trump tariff taxes. Look at these mass layoffs of veterans around the country, and nothing, just a bunch of servile, subservient Republicans. It's sad. This is not the party of Ronald Reagan. It's not the party of George H.W. Bush. This is the party of, I mean, it's hard to even compare them to anything in previous American history because they've just become that weak and impotent, and it's sad.
Looking at, I'm just trying to think way to frame this question here. Obviously, tradition in history shows that the party that's out of power, which is Democrats now, always prevails in the midterm elections, which are next year. But what do you think Democrats need to be doing right now to position themselves for wins in the midterm elections and to take back Congress like the party wants to do?
Yeah, Jason, you broke up there. Can you repeat that question?
Yeah, the question is, history always shows that the party that's out of power, which is Democrats right now, they always prevail in the midterm elections, which are next year. I'm just curious what you think the Democrats need to be doing right now to position themselves for big midterm wins next year and to take back Congress like the party wants.
Yeah, absolutely. For Democrats to be successful, which I believe that we will, we absolutely have to keep our message narrow. There are going to be people back at home and they're going to be saying, why didn't you respond to this? Why didn't you respond to that? People remember things in threes, and we have to keep pounding on the Trump tariff taxes, these veterans that are being cut off, what's happening with our overseas and the fact that Trump is cozying up with Putin. There has to be a handful of things that we talk about that the American public can understand and that they can get behind. And those voters in the middle, those swing voters that are going to be very, very crucial in order for us to win back these handful of seats that we need to take the majority, we're going to have a message for them. And I think what they want is they want to see responsible adult leadership. And we're going to get that. You're going to see Hakeem Jeffries, Catherine Clark, Pete Aguilar, Joe Neguse, our leadership in the House, driving home this message. And what people are going to see are leaders that they understand. They're going to see leaders that are normal, and they're going to see people that believe in policies that are good for America and not this cronyism and corruption and billionaires getting huge tax cuts that the Trump administration it seems to only be focused on. They're going to see people that are for everyday, hardworking Americans as we move closer and closer to the 2026 election.
But if you had to crystallize that message right now, what would it be?
If I had to crystallize that message right now, we continue to talk about the Trump tariff taxes. I think that's first and foremost. When people go and buy their SUV, when people go and buy their kid that first car, when people go and buy the new car for themselves that they need to, drive from Capel to Fort Worth every day for work, that's going to add $10,000 onto the price of that car. And that is something that's just completely unacceptable. So that's what we're going to talk about. We're going to continue to talk about these veterans that are being laid off of federal jobs here in the DFW Metroplex and around the country. So continue to hammer home at that. And of course, the fact that Trump is making the world a much unstable place by cozying up with dictators like Putin. I think that that's hugely important for us to continue to talk about. And there'll be some other things that will that will come up that we will certainly discuss. This signal gate won't be the last of his incompetence. Right. And I just want everybody to understand that, like, what happened in with Signalgate is really representative of what this administration is all about. And we're going to see things like that pop up all the time that will take up a lot of time and a lot of attention. But we're going to have to obviously talk about those. But those three things that I just mentioned, I think, are going to be the key things. Because I'm telling you, man, people are going to these tariffs. You are going to feel it in your pocketbook. There's just there's no question. Even if your car is made in America, every car that is made in America has foreign parts, and it will drive the price of all vehicles up. And we are going to feel it, and not just on cars, on many other products.
Congressman, always good to see you. I appreciate the time, sir.
Good to see you, Jason.